Hey, good afternoon. Well, good evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. And this is week two of our football 2020 review. Week two in the NFL. And all I'm going to say, going into week two, we got Dwayne and Anthony with us tonight, is injuries, injuries, and more injuries. And
Yes,
that is
sir.
the theme. I don't think too many people are proud of being 2-0.
Nah.
I don't think people are being proud of being 1-1, and I don't think people are being proud of being 0-2. And if you've never heard the expression, the NFL is a war of attrition, we will see it in this season. What's up, fellas?
What's going on, man?
Yeah, man. A lot of major injuries. A lot of big time players going to be done for the season. When you consider
Already.
when you consider Bosa and Barkley right at the top of it, man. Um, I don't know. Hindsight being 2020, but I do think these fellas need at least 2 weeks of preseason football, man. I
Yes.
think it's hard just going right into the game like this, man. You got a lot of injuries. If you look at the first 2 weeks, now ACLs, those is kind of hard. Those happen, but you're seeing a lot of rib pull, groin pull, hammy pulls. They need preseason, man. I'm not saying they need 4 weeks of preseason, but they need at least 2 good weeks of preseason, man.
Yeah. I think not having the pre I was saying that earlier. So in the post I had earlier that not having a preseason is like really hurt these guys. It hurt teams in two ways. It hurt teams because they couldn't properly evaluate certain players. So certain guys that would have got shots to be on teams and improve themselves in game situations, and even rookies like
Right.
rookies that need because a lot of teams, especially like mine, are counting on rookies to come in and play. So we never even got a chance to like see these rookies in action and
Right.
get valuable reps. Because to be honest, reps are everything. You don't have reps and everything. And then on top of that, we're seeing a lot of soft tissue injuries because I think if you're an NFL player, your season, your year is divided in sections. You have your year when you have your time when you're training. You have your time when you're recovering from whatever injuries you had in the previous season, and then you have your time where you're just with family and whatever.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of these guys, because of COVID and everything, put things in the limbo that they really never had a chance to figure out. Like, okay, well, if I know the football season's basically our season starts after the draft,
Right.
you know, and now all that stuff happened in March, April. Everything started getting shut down in March, April. You never really had a handle on when you were going to be able to do things, because for a while we didn't even know if we were going to have a season.
Right.
So they were just like, okay, we're going to have one. Then everybody's like, oh snap! Well, I never really had time to get right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
now I think most guys are coming into the season at like 60-70%, to be honest.
Yep.
What
So,
bothers
Q,
what
so
bothers me
Q.
about the playoffs before we get to the games
Yeah, I was
was I
gonna
wanted
ask.
to reiterate what Anthony said is that I said it from the door, like when they first said no preseason, the first thing I thought about was football is about timing. Even your running back and your quarterback on the, y'all know y'all both as coaches, on the initial handoff, you got to get that timing down.
Right.
Do we take a 6 step drop? Do we take a 5 step drop? You know, I'm surprised we haven't really seen a lot of sloppy football. That's what's amazing is a lot of the
Yeah.
football outside of certain teams that just don't got the talent.
Right.
We've actually seen good football, but these injuries and I'm a players guy, and I know you guys are players guys as well. They have nobody to blame for this one right here but themselves because they voted
Yeah.
for no preseason. But
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
get to these games, one thing I want to say, Anthony, as a 49er fan, and this is not we try not to talk about specific teams, but I know that the 49ers is trying to really like upset with MetLife.
well, I looked at it today, and if it was one guy that got hurt, I would be like, it's a freak injury. Things happen. It's football. Like, you're gonna get hurt somehow, whether it's minor injuries that people
Right.
really don't see, or you're gonna get banged up. Then I see the same guys. Like, it's like both of our defensive tackles, defensive ends, get hurt the same way. Foot gets caught in the turf, they get bent back, both are out with ACLs. Raheem Mostert it was like a non-contact injury. So it can't be anybody hitting them. It's got to be the field. So we lose 4 guys in a day. We lose our 2 starters on the D line, our quarterback, and our running back. So I'm just like, if it's me and I'm the coach, now I'm Shanahan, I'm like, I don't even want to play there. Even if Bill can come back next week, I'm like, listen, man. And I don't want to, get on anybody's team, but if there's a game that we know we can win without you, I'm not gonna let you play on that field because I'd rather not have you there. Jordan Reed showed me he could play, he could fill in and do well today. So I think we could do it. To me, I just be like, listen, let's play at Rutgers.
For real.
Play at Rutgers. Because right now, that field is looking better than what's over at MetLife. Too many guys got hurt, man. Like it was unreal today. I was looking at it like, you got this. This is unbelievable. Like I've never seen that many guys get hurt in one game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So onto these games, Dwayne.
Yeah. So the first one we'll talk about is Giants Bears, 17-13. Hey man, I gotta give the Giants credit because losing Saquon Barkley, all the things that was going on in that game, they still had a chance to win it in the end, man. And Daniel Jones drove them down the field pretty good, man. So that's encouraging if you're a Giant fan that your quarterback, without your best player, drove you down the field with an opportunity to win it. And unfortunately, they came up short. But Daniel Jones showed me something on that last drive, man.
One of the things that I noticed about that game and a few others is that these young quarterbacks are so used to 7-on-7 that I don't understand why these young coaches don't allow these young quarterbacks to go to a more faster paced offense, because these quarterbacks, if you watch them, they're comfortable with a fast paced game.
They are.
With basically, as we would say, pitch and catch.
Well, the young coaches are doing that. Yeah,
and it's like, some of these guys get so stuck in their ways where they just want these guys to take up all of the play clock. Nah, they don't. Some of these quarterbacks don't. And Daniel Dimes, I noticed last year, I think the more that he thought was the worse he was. And in that drive, like he wasn't thinking. He was just out there just winging
out there balling.
Yeah. That's why I was looking at today. I was looking at all the young quarterbacks, and I'm looking at like all the really good quarterbacks, which right now is a blessing because a lot of good young quarterbacks are black, and you're seeing the dynamic now that you have to be able to run. Every quarterback in the league that's halfway decent can move. Like if you're a mobile, you got to be like an Aaron Rodgers, and even he's mobile. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm looking at Kyler Murray, what he's doing. He's running around, throwing. Russell Wilson, I'm looking at him. I'm looking at Russell, Kyler. I'm looking at, Mahomes, Pat. He can run. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm looking at the other two. Oh my God, Lamar and what's the name? And
Deshaun.
Deshaun
Watson.
For the Tech. Yeah, Deshaun. They all can run. So and they're all playing in high power, fast paced offenses where they just pushing the ball downfield. They might set up a little run, you know what I'm saying? But those offenses are proving to succeed. I look at Jared Goff today. Jared Goff looked good. He looked like Jared Goff from that Super Bowl season.
Well, that's the thing about McVay runs the type of offense that makes Jared Goff look good. He uses a lot of motion. He uses a lot of screens. He loves teams that attack him up the field because he takes advantage of aggressiveness. So I think he's an innovative play caller, Sean McVay.
Yeah.
And he got that tight end, man. Hey man,
Higbee.
Having a good tight end goes a long way, man.
And you got Cup over there too, man. You got Cup and Woods out there too, man.
So the Giant game, I got to talk about them. Even though that's Anthony's team, they lost to. Is the Jets the worst team in the NFL, y'all?
Jets is the worst team in the NFL by far. And the problem that I have with the Jets, right, is the NFL will keep recycling a guy like Adam Gase,
Yeah.
but won't recycle a guy like Todd Bowles or Vance Joseph. And I'm not trying to make it a black-white thing. I'm just saying you get these coaches that keep getting opportunities after opportunities, and nobody in that Jets locker room likes their coach. It's known. It's known. And Adam Gase was as good as Peyton Manning was. And he got these jobs that he's getting off the strength of what he did with Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it, I have no idea why the Jets do this. But teams do this. Think about this. The New York Giants right now, right? They're paying 3 head coaches. They're still paying McAdoo, Shermer, and now they're paying Joe Judge, man. Like,
so given that they potentially have lost Barkley for the year, we know that with the offensive line with Danny Dimes, it's going to be major growing pains in the Giants organization.
But the Giants,
it's a good chance they're going to have that 5 or less wins again.
But the Giants have a dilemma though. They got a big dilemma.
Do you pay them?
So not even that. It's like now you don't have Saquon. You lean on him for all your offense. You know you're not going to win too many more games. So now, do you take it and get Trevor Lawrence, or do you stay with the quarterback you just drafted a year ago?
It's crazy because guess what? Both New York teams in the same situation.
Yeah, so
because they may be 1-2 in the draft. You got Trevor Lawrence out there, and you also gonna have Justin Fields out there
and you're gonna
from Ohio State.
You're gonna have the boy from what's his name too,
North Dakota State. Yeah.
So you got some decisions to make. Like, do you give up on your quarterback after 1 year?
It's tough.
So one game we want to talk about definitely is that old Buffalo Bills.
Hey man,
Dwayne, me and you picked Miami as our sleeper teams, Dwayne. The Buffalo Bills.
He just hit a 53-yarder, but there's a flag. Oh my God, they had a false start. He had a 53-yarder.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
So I know Andy Reid is like, what the?
But Packers 42, Lions 21. All I'll say about that is that's Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers.
I seen a stat. I think a stat that he's like 50 or 72 or 50 or 74
I saw
in 2 games. Something crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not giving him an excuse. This is just a thought. I think Aaron Rodgers was hurt last year, and nobody knew it, or he didn't tell nobody because he came out the gate smoking. And Devontae Adams was on the sideline with an injury. He was hurt most of the game.
But then you got to look at who they played the last 2 games, though. Like the last 2 games, like the Lions, they ain't really been known for defense. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then Stafford, I always call Stafford a 1-half quarterback because he'll get one really good half and then an awful half. He'll look like a top 10, top 5 quarterback for like quarters 1 and 2, and then for quarters 3 and 4, he looked like somebody like you picked up off of the waiver wire. You're like, man, like where this court? Like you have all the skill, all the talent. You had the receivers for years, and you still can't get it done. Like you can't get it done. Like you know, he reminds me of. Remember Jeff George? And Jeff George had all the tools, throw the ball a mile, was accurate, but he just for some reason couldn't keep it together for a whole entire game.
One of the other teams, they ain't a sleeper because they actually been in the playoffs. I think the last 4 or 5 years. Tennessee is a problem, man.
They are, but
Tennessee is a problem, y'all.
Mike Vrabel is a good coach, man. Like he's a really good coach. He believes in defense and that strong running game.
Yeah.
He gave Tannehill the money. Tannehill's is a game manager. But that Clowney to Tennessee, that was a big signing, man.
Vic Beasley ain't even stood up yet.
Huh?
Vic Beasley
and you still ain't get Beasley yet.
Yeah.
You're right. And they got good corners. The young boy Fulton, who they drafted this year in the NFL draft, he showed up today.
And don't forget about Breyer, who's been an All-Pro 2 years.
Yeah.
Tennessee, in their old school football, for the people that used to love that old NFC East type football. They run the ball. They play the clock. They throw the tight ends. They believe in heavy play action. And actually, on the other day, Dwayne's guy, who he said needs a big year this year, actually was doing his thing. Corey Davis actually caught some good passes on some deep ends I seen last week.
Yeah, Corey Davis is, it's a contract year for him. They didn't pick up his option, so basically at the end of the year, he's gonna be a free agent.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question going back to the Rams.
Uh-huh.
Are you guys surprised that they're 2-0?
I'm not.
I'm not, because I think a lot of the reasons that the Rams struggled last year is they had injuries on their offensive line. Their offensive line is back healthy. Sean McVay is running that offense like he ran it when he was a couple of years ago. I think it's addition by subtraction with Gurley not being there and Gurley being in Atlanta now. So now it's Goff's team, and they're going to use that quick passing game. They're going to get it to Kupp. They're going to get it to Robert Woods, who they just gave an extension.
Give me a second.
They just gave it to Robert Woods that just got an extension. So I like where the Rams are at. I think they're going to be good. Now,
I'm going to ask you a question. We always talk about this, Dwayne, is I think when they lost Roger Stafford to Tennessee last year in free agency, they didn't realize, and me and you always talk about it, it's funny how a team might lose a tackle and it'd be big, but I don't think most people understand when you lose them guards, that's good.
Press up the middle. You need to be able to. You need your quarterback to be able to step up in the pocket. I know when everybody say blindside and the other tackle, and they get all the money. That's true. But a quarterback has to step up in the pocket. So if you have weak play at your center and your guard positions, it's too much heat on the quarterbacks, man. Speaking of quarterbacks, what a terrible, terrible performance by one Kirk Cousins today.
What was his final stats?
Kirk Cousins was 11 of 26 for 113 yards and 3 interceptions. Think about that. think about. Listen to that stat again.
Where are we at right now? I'm sorry.
He was 11 of 26 for 113 yards and 3 interceptions, man. The Vikings are not going to be big time with Kirk Cousins at their quarterback.
But see, one thing I don't understand is that with the Vikings is instead of paying Diggs, you trade him, and now y'all know football. You got Thielen over there by himself. Now you can roll a double team over there, and then drop that other safety in that box to worry about Cook.
Well,
they got Justin Jefferson, but again, with rookies, you got to give rookies time to develop, man.
Because wide receiver is a hard position to learn.
It's a hard position
as a rookie. So,
unless you coming from Alabama.
Now I heard something today that I was like, okay, this might make sense. So they were talking about if you're 0-2 and you don't think you're going to do anything, you don't think you're going to do anything, should you just pack it in and just be like, you know what, opt out, we're not going to do anything. Let's try to get another good quarterback in the draft. Because to me, Kirk Cousins ain't it. He's not it. He's always been a filler guy. You know what I'm saying? He's been comes in, plays 8 games, plays good. You know what I'm saying? And I always call him you ever see when they have the horses running, and they always have a horse that is not great, but he's good enough to push your thoroughbred to be better. It's okay, we don't let you run neck and neck, but you're never gonna win. Let's have a quarterback. I think Kirk Cousins.
One of the things, Anthony, and you're right. One of the things that's key with that is a team like the Giants, who's 0-2. Now they done lost Saquon, and Dallas potentially could have been 0-2 today. And me and Dwayne was talking about this is that some of these 0-2 teams, the reason why they're technically in good position still. They haven't played not one division game.
No division game.
See, the Eagles have played their 0-2 is a division game and a conference game. So with their injuries as well, and I'm not saying the Eagles can't win the division, but
right,
you got to the scheduling and injuries now is so key in how these teams perform. Like Arizona, it's important that Arizona got off to this 2-0 start
Right.
because when they got to come back and play the 49ers again, when they got to play the Rams, when they got to play that Seattle, it's going to be rough on them.
Listen, man, I'm going to tell you something. And you bring up a good point with the Eagles, right? Because now the Eagles are 0-2, right?
Listen to the schedule, Anthony.
But listen, they get the Bengals next week. So you could say you could give them a win against the Bengals, right? But after that, let's just say they're 1-2 after next week.
Who do they have after that?
I'm gonna run it down for you. After that, they are at San Francisco.
That's an L.
At Pittsburgh.
That's an L.
The Ravens at home.
That's a definite L.
Right. That's their next three. That's their next 3 games. So in reality, they could be looking at 1-5, man.
Yeah.
With one game in the loss column in the division.
With a $100 million quarterback.
Yep. and I'm gonna tell you something. Against those three teams, I know Bosa ain't there. I don't know how injured Solomon Thomas is, but when you're dealing with those 3 teams with that pass rush and the Eagles' offensive line, that could get real ugly for Wentz, man.
Yeah, I'm looking at it like in a way, like I'm not an Eagles fan, but it's just like, man, like it's like man, like you go from a Super Bowl to like this right now. You know what I'm saying? Like you go from a Super Bowl to this, and it's just like it's almost like buyer's remorse with Wentz because you just like, damn, like because remember they had a decision. It was like, well, he didn't play and we won, so do we still pay him? Now okay, we're gonna pay him, and you're not getting what you paid for. So it's just like, damn, like
it's a couple of things that I noticed with Wentz, and it was brought to my attention. A couple of them was brought a couple years ago, and then I noticed it last week. I watched the whole game last week. One thing I noticed about Wentz is Wentz needs to be in the RPO offense. He don't, for some reason, as good as he is as a quarterback, and I do think he's good, he don't go through his progressions fast. And by him not going through his progressions fast enough, what happens is he be in that pocket a little too long. And this kid, let me tell y'all something. I've seen a lot of quarterbacks take a lot of hits. Carson Wentz takes some hits, and he got a habit of ducking his head and his body down. And
he already has back and neck injuries, and every time he's about to get hit, he doubles over because he tries to duck under some of these sacks, and his back ain't gonna make it, man.
And and see, this goes back to why I respect Pete Carroll so much. Because if you look at Russell Wilson a couple years ago, when he had he got sacked like 30 times in like the first 5 weeks, something crazy. And what Pete Carroll did is Pete Carroll said, "I'm protecting my investment. We're going to run the football." Now they got to the playoffs, and this was the year that they lost to the Cowboys in the first round. They got to the playoffs, but he protected his quarterback. What this guy does in Philadelphia, he does not protect Carson Wentz because the Eagles refuse to run the football. They got good tight ends. They drafted the Rhaegar kid is good. But, you have to be able – now, they couldn't do it this week. But last week, they should have been able to suffocate that game.
Yeah.
They was up 17-0. But they don't even got a fullback on the roster. They don't run.
Well, if you don't have an offensive line, you can't run the ball anyway. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Then – I think Clement is out. He's out for the season or something or for a while. So your top running back is out. You don't have a line. So everybody knows what you're going to do already. Know they're going to put the ball in Wentz's hands. And then Jeffrey's out. So your veteran wideout is gone. So
well, they got their number one running back today, Miles Sanders. He was back today.
I got to quote Anthony's old coach. Can't win with him.
Can't win with him. Can't do
listen, and I'll come out there with 2 backup offensive linemen and 1 running back. Let me tell you something. The hits that I seen Carson Wentz take last week by them young guns down in DC,
By
he ain't
them.
gonna make it through the season, brother.
Nah.
He ain't gonna make it through the season.
So Buffalo 31, Miami 28. I think again it was a big week for Allen. He showed me something today. Because usually he do a lot of things with his feet, but today he was 24-35 for 417 yards. And somebody you spoke about earlier today, Q, Stephon Diggs, 8 catches, 153 yards.
He tore Byron Jones up, huh?
He did. 8 catches, 153 yards. Today he averaged 19 yards per reception.
And that's what somebody just said from YouTube, Dwayne. They said, "What's our thoughts on Josh Allen?"
Listen, he's growing on me. Now, I think week 1, they ran the ball with him too much. He was taking too much punishment. Like, you can't be running your quarterback 13 times, man. They don't even run damn Lamar Jackson like that. 13 times straight design quarterback runs. Like, he was taking some licks last week.
He ran that one guy over today.
He did. And Miami is my little team that could. Everybody know I was on Miami this year, but they 0-2. But hey, man, they stayed in the game. They fought.
Does he start
31-28?
Before I say about Josh Allen, do they start Tua? You might as well start Tua, right?
I think it's Tua time after this upcoming week.
Yeah.
They don't win this upcoming week because they like I said before, Fitzpatrick is a filler guy. He's a filler guy because they want to make it look like they don't want to rush Tua in too fast. And to be honest, they put some points up today. It was a close game, at the end, close game. But I think they after next week they're gonna be like, you know what, put them in.
Because because it's too easy to go from Fitz magic to Fitz tragic. It can happen. It can happen quick.
Even though we had picked our sleeper teams, and I had picked Miami as well. I do. It's a big part of me want to see a playoff game in Buffalo.
Yeah,
where it just starts snowing,
cold,
and then you got one of them hot teams that got to come up there.
Listen,
and they shivering on the bench, looking crazy.
This COVID thing. It's a sad thing with this COVID thing, man. I miss the Bills Mafia, man. Like, you see they fans jumping through burning tables and the whole vibe, but that's it. I mean, Jets 49ers, 31-13. We ain't got to spend too much time on that. I think Jimmy G going to be all right. I think it was smart for Shanahan just to play Mullins to get out that game. It was a game they wasn't going to lose. And I wouldn't mind if the 49ers start Mullins next week and let Garofalo, heal that high ankle sprain, because I think they could come back into MetLife and get another win without Jimmy G.
I'm honestly, I just want to get out of MetLife with no more injuries, man.
So Dwayne, we were on the phone during this game, and Anthony's here, so you don't get too crazy. And
no.
And
wait. Make that the last 1 o'clock game, because it was the last 1 o'clock game to end.
Real quick.
It was the last 1 o'clock game to end. Make that the last one.
Y'all deserve to go crazy about that game, because that game was insane.
Make that the last 1 o'clock though, because it was the last 1 o'clock to end. So you had Broncos.
Let y'all go off for that game. Like y'all deserve that one.
Right. You had the Steelers 26, the Broncos 21. Big Ben being back is huge for the Steelers. They're gonna play that good defense. Big Ben is gonna make plays. But hey, man, for the Broncos to lose Drew Lock like that, and they came with Driscoll, and they stayed in that game, man. The Broncos was in that game, man. Like, I was impressed with the Broncos.
Teams like that where you see the Broncos and you know that they're rebuilding and they still competing. That's when you know that you have a good coach that's building a good culture. Because, like you said earlier, that guy that's coaching the Florham Park Jets, he don't got no culture.
He doesn't.
He don't got no culture, and it's sad because the Jets actually we're about to see a quarterback be destroyed. Le'Veon Bell saying he don't have a hamstring injury. He don't know why the guy ain't playing him, and it's like Jamal Adams got up out of there.
You know what's crazy about that though? I just think that the Jets problem is like an endemic culture problem. It's just a culture problem because it's like you know what they're doing. You know what they're doing. They don't want Le'Veon Bell back because they're trying to get Trevor Lawrence. What's the Jaguars are trying to get him too, but Gardner Minshew ain't hearing that. So he ain't trying to hear that right now. So like, you know, I just think that they're trying to do that. They say, you know what, man, let's just lose, give you a chance to go with Trevor Lawrence. Everybody's hyping up Trevor Lawrence as, you know, a once in a generation talent. So, you know, let's get him. But to me, I think if he goes to the Jets, they'll find a way to screw him up. Like,
and that's like Anthony. A team could be 0-2, but you see culture, and you see Dwayne's favorite coach right now in the NFL. For those that don't know, is Matt Rule.
Yes,
and you can see that Matt Rule is building a good culture in Carolina, even though they haven't won yet.
Yeah, you know, they lost today, Tampa Bay 31-17. You knew Tampa Bay needed to bounce back.
yeah.
I think Bruce Arians was a little bit out of line last week, the way he went at Brady. I mean, Tom Brady is Tom Brady, man. Like, only thing I'll say about Brady is, like I said during our wrap-up show last week, when you 43 years old, man, Father Time has a way of sneaking up on you. So you could be great at 43, and then in 2 weeks, your arm going to be like a wet noodle. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on with them. They moved to 1-1. So, you know, let's just talk about that game today. The last 1 o'clock game to end. You had the Cowboys 40, the Falcons 39. And one thing I pledged to be on this show is to be unbiased, as I am wearing my Dak Prescott jersey. But as a Dallas Cowboy fan, I'm here to tell you, we absolutely stole one today.
Dwayne, one thing real quick. I just want to scream it out. How do you not go for the ball if you are the Falcons? I'm talking about you can hit it, you can bat it, you can touch it, you can breathe on it. How do you not get the ball? You just look at it.
Listen, it's even worse than that, because if you look at the instant replay, number 87 backed away from the ball. The ball was coming to him and he backed away. I think they confused the rule. I mean, I don't know if they thought they was the ones kicking on sides and you can't touch it after 10 yards, because there was 3 Falcons around that ball that watched that ball just roll and roll and roll, and then C.J. Godwin fell on it. But as far as the Dallas Cowboys is concerned, you cannot go down 20-0 at home after you lost the way you lost last week to the Rams. You had 5 turnovers in this game, 3 lost fumbles, and you went for 2 fake punts in your own territory. You went for 2 fake punts on 4th down in your own territory. So those constitute turnovers. And there was an amazing stat from Elias today. Going in today, since 1933, when a team scores 39 points with 0 touchdowns, they were 440-0. Well, now it's 440-1, because the Falcons had 39 points and 0 turnovers and lost that game. They scored 20. They scored 29 points in the first half. They only scored 10 in the second. They just don't know how to. They don't know how to close out big games, man.
One of the things, Dwayne, and a lot of people will go back to the 49ers in the Atlanta in the Super Bowl. But I'm gonna tell you, and I know most people don't want to hear what I'm about to say. These organizations and teams and coaches do not practice attention to details because their brain locked up. Those are gunners on the side. The hands team. Why would they say hands? Y'all know, y'all coaches. But you say hands. That means the hand team. You're either gonna charge the ball and get it, even if you don't think it's going to get 10 yards or go out of bounds, you knew from the door that kick didn't have the speed to go out of bounds.
But
And they clearly let the ball get them. Now, let's talk about Atlanta's defense.
But that's where, real quick, that's where practicing situational football comes into, because, wherever I coached at, every day, we had, special teams where we would run through the situations. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knew what they were supposed to do, so you didn't have those type of problems, which is why I'm looking at that and I'm like, what are they doing? Like they're doing what the offense is supposed to be doing. Like you're waiting for it to go 10 yards. No, you're supposed to jump on that ball and get it. So I'm looking at it like that's crazy.
And that was something, Anthony, that me and Dwayne discussed about the Cowboys last year. Is most people don't know the Cowboys had the number 1 offense and number 11 defense last year. But the reason why they were 8-8, the special teams was the worst in the NFL.
They were ranked 32.
And everybody always says, in order to win a football game, you got to win 2 out of the 3 phases of the game.
Tell you something.
Special teams, defense, or offense.
Let me tell you something. Atlanta Falcons, they bailed Mike McCarthy out, because if the Cowboys would have lost that game, it would have been a tough press conference day for McCarthy. He made some of the most boneheaded decisions as a coach. Those 2 fake punts was terrible. And then when the score is 39-30, you kick the extra point to go up 30, to go down 30-31. You don't go for 2 right there.
Well, as a Cowboy fan, it's like you, Dwayne, I'm gonna always tell you this. There's some dogs on that team, and I don't mean the good dogs.
No,
there's some guys in there that's taking Jerry Jones' money, and they need to go back and renegotiate their contract.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys is MIA, Tank Lawrence, MIA, Tank Lawrence. You MIA. You got Cheeto, and Cheeto, Jalen Smith. JD had a tough game today.
JD had a tough game.
A lot of these Cowboy players, they're being fooled by some of the most basic misdirection plays. Like,
it's crazy.
Stay on your keys. Stay lane discipline. This is minor stuff. Stop trying to make the great play and just make what's in front of you. And it's crazy that Joe Thomas popped off the screen today more than Jalen Smith. And
think about it. When you consider in the first 2 Cowboys games on defense, their best player has been a player that hasn't played in the league in 4 years. Alden Smith has been the best defensive player on the Dallas Cowboys.
That was a good pickup, man.
Him and Tristan Hill.
But he hasn't played in 4 years, man.
But you guys have what, 4? You guys are missing half of your linebacker core too, though.
The Dallas Cowboys got 9 players on IR right now. Five of them are starters, and you can't even include Tyron Smith because he's not on IR. So he's another starter. So this is a big boy NFL, man. So you don't make excuses. It's next man up. But they got 6 starters that's on IR right now.
Yeah.
But the Arizona Cardinals beat the Washington football team 30-15. Kyler Murray is showing that he's dynamic.
He's going to be a problem.
He's proved me wrong. I knew he was a better football player than baseball player, so I'm glad he came to the NFL. I just think he's in the perfect system with Cliff Kingsbury, and he could do it with his feet, and they move the pocket with him. He's in the perfect system. I'll
tell you one thing. They did him right, though, by bringing D-Hop down there, man.
Yeah.
Like D-Hop has 22 catches in 2 games, in 2 games, so you know who they feeding it to. And Larry Fitzgerald probably sitting back there like, thank God I don't got to do all this work no more.
Absolutely.
Like he out there as the decoy and D-Hop, you know.
How's my boy Kirk doing down there? Did Kirk do anything yet?
No.
I didn't see him do too much today. I didn't see him do too much today.
Because D-Hop catching anything, man.
And that goes back to what we were talking about with
Kirk had 2 catches, 57 yards today. But then you look at Larry Fitzgerald had 7 catches, 50, And that Isabella, that dude is good, man. He had 2 catches for 67 yards.
And he's perfect for that system.
Perfect.
His finest.
Perfect.
One of the things that we talked about earlier, and this is where I think Cliff Kingsbury is that he has the organization is behind him. One thing about Arizona is funny that the Bidwells was known for being cheap for most of my life, and then when they moved to Arizona and started getting more of that revenue, they started spending more money, and the Bidwells started, spending money on their team. As you can see that Cliff Kingsbury is really building a good culture down there, and he has the quarterback who he drafted to college that plays his system, so it's perfect situation for their offense to thrive. But what's going to happen, I believe, and it always happens, the running quarterback, you got to understand, they cannot take these hits. And he's a small guy, and when you got to play the 49ers,
right,
Aaron Donald, and them Seattle boys twice a year each.
Right.
Real quick. The other problem is too is money, because right now he playing good and he's on the cheap. He's on the cheap, man. So once that what the third, fourth year hits, third, fourth year hits, and like you're already 2 years into it. That's how fast things are going. You 2 years into it. You got 2 more years before you gotta give them big bucks. And if Pat and if Mahomes got $500 million, I'm not saying Kyler gonna do that, but if Kyler get an MVP season, because I heard Brady Quinn on TV talking about, he could possibly get an MVP season, and I think like possibly even this year, if they have a good record, they have a good enough record, and the way he's playing right now, with his arms and his feet scoring, like they're gonna have to pay that, man.
Hey, Q, real quick, because we up against it. We're 8 minutes to kick off. Real quick on those last 2 games. The Ravens 33-16 over the Texans. Not much to say right there, man. The Ravens is one of the best teams in the league, man. I mean, you still got to give it to the Chiefs because they're the Super Bowl champions, but in the regular season, the Ravens is top-notch. So they took out the Texans. And then the Chiefs won 23-20 in overtime. And what I found to be amazing about that game is their field goal kicker hit a 53-yarder. Then they were offsides. So they moved it back to 58 yards. He kicked it, made it, but there was a Chargers time out. So they had to do it again. That man made 3 kicks in a row. Only one counted, but he made them from 53, 58, and 58. And that's what Super Bowl championship teams do, man. They do the little things.
I look at those 2 games, and I take from those 2 games is Tyrod lost his job again because I wasn't really sold on Hebert from what I seen from Oregon. You know what I'm saying? He looked the part, but he had some. If you look at his film, he had some plays where he missed easy throws. But today, man, he looked like a player. Like he looked like he belonged.
It's his job. It's his job now.
I think Tyrod gonna sit, and I see from what I see, from the Texans is that Deshaun really misses D-Hop, man. He really misses that, man, because like it looks, every game for him looks like a struggle, man. It's like, damn, like I have like no help, like it's just me out there. It's just like it's just me, man, and because they gave him that money, they can't really get anybody else. So
I mean, they Cooks went 5 for 95 for them today. Cobb 5 for 59, and then Atkins 7 for 55. But it is different when you don't have that person like that. So
what you guys think about tonight's game?
Monday night, Patriots, Seahawks.
I gotta give it to the Seahawks.
Seahawks they are who they are. I know there's no 12th man there because it's COVID. But one thing about the Patriots, that the Patriots led by Bill Belichick is going to keep it close. They're going to try to control the clock. Cam going to do a lot with his feet. So it's just going to be interesting, man. Russell Wilson is something. But I like the Seahawks in that game as well. And then Monday night, you have New Orleans versus Las Vegas. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I think the Saints is going to walk them in that one.
Yeah, that's tonight. I actually want to see I actually want to see what happens. Like I'm going to take the Seahawks, but I want to see more of the Patriots with Cam, man, because like this game feels to me like it could end up as a toss-up game. Like I want to say Russell Wilson from what they playing, but like Dwayne said, Belichick always got his guys ready to play, man.
Who's Thursday night?
Thursday night. That's a good question. Hold on 1 second. Thursday night is Dolphins Jaguars.
All right, give me a pick for one of y'all. Both of y'all give me a pick for tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday night. One team. Who's gonna win?
Just the best bet, you're saying?
Yeah.
New Orleans.
And
your best bet tonight is the Seahawks. You put money on Seahawks.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm picking the Raiders. I'm picking the Raiders.
You're picking the Raiders to beat them.
No Michael Thomas, y'all.
Okay. Hey man, new stadium.
FanDuel like you, boy. FanDuel like.
But
listen,
next week,
I built FanDuel.
next week you have some interesting matchups next week. You got Dallas, Seattle, which will be interesting.
Yeah.
If the Falcons go down 0-3, man, Quinn can start, packing his bags. You got a 2-0 Rams Buffalo next week.
Where's that at?
That game's going to be in Buffalo.
Ooh.
You got. That's it. I think those are the big games next week.
I want to say
Sunday night. Next Sunday night, you got a banger. Sunday night, Monday night next week is a banger. You may not have a better back-to-back Sunday night, Monday night the rest of the season. Sunday night, you got Packers Saints. And then Monday night, you got Chiefs Ravens. You may not have a better Sunday night, Monday night.
That's everybody buying wings that night, staying that night.
Absolutely.
One more thing I say about the Cowboys, the last thing I say about them, CD has 6 for 106 today. He did. 106.
He did. He looking good, man.
That's the best performance by a rookie wideout this season.
Yeah, he looking good, man. He got away with it. That whatever. We didn't get one last week. They called that offensive pass interference on Gallup. If you look very closely at that CD Lamb big catch on that last drive, he pushed off. But it don't count as a push off if they don't call it. He pushed off. It don't
matter if they don't call it.
Exactly.
Appreciate everybody joining us on Facebook and YouTube, Periscope. With that, y'all have a blessed night.
Have a blessed night. Be safe.